Hello, 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 hello out there, and welcome to Social Media Land with its elevation moments. And it's even when Wednesday, and we are back in the lab. We are back to doing some things that we have started. It's 2024. I hope all of you are off to a great start, and you're moving into your next. I hope that you have started looking at some things on a different perspective, on a different level. When I tell you that I am excited because in spite of what we all are going through, and we all go through some things, I'm super excited that in spite of all of that, we still have the opportunity to get excited and do exactly what we're intended to do. Hey, Deborah, thanks for watching. Deborah Gilmore in the house, Coach Deborah. If you haven't followed Deborah on some of her pages, I highly recommend that you go out there and give my sister a shout out. She's doing some amazing things, and you want to look more for her in 2024. She's coming to do some amazing things. And to all of you, hey, Miss Carrie that's out there watching, thank you so much for being there, my good friend. When I tell you that is a super excited to be back into this arena. I can't tell you how long, I can't tell you a lot of things right now because we're still working in the lab on some things. But what I can tell you that it is time for us to be empowered, embraced, and educated, to be elevated and not tolerated. And that's more important than anything else in the world to me, is for us to get back into that place where we are able to see some things happening and experiencing the best, right? And so when I tell you that I'm super excited about seeing some of you, hey, Pastor First Lady Jefferson, it's good to have you with us. Elder Carter, it's good to have you with us too, my friend. To all of you, I appreciate you, the ones who've been reaching out to me and saying, where you been? Where you been? Well, I'm back. We had to take a little extended vacation, if you will, to get some things together in this season. Self-care is important. Let me just encourage you into self-care. Put the pens and papers down and do some things that you really need to take care of and start doing in this season. And then around this, a lot of times we as people, we get into a lot of things that, that can take our minds to another place. And let me just encourage you. One of the things that through everything that we do here at Victoria Eloise, we're going to continue to, encourage you all to take good care of your mental, take care of your physical, because all of those play into where you're going in your next season, right? And so I do not want you to miss the opportunities. There's nothing wrong with resting. There is nothing wrong with resting. Lady Jefferson, thank you so much. You're as beautiful as well, my friend. When I tell you that, it's oftentimes that we just need to be able to see some things on a different level. Elder Carter, my friend, blessings to you, my friend. When I say that it's time for us to just kind of take a real good look at some things that we're doing. So let me just kind of give you a heads up. So we told you that we would be back in 24. We're going to be coming back, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, unless, of course, we have some other things that come up, because we are moving and shifting in some other areas, some other platforms. We're trying to do some other things. We got some people that we're trying to help, like Elder Carter and different ones. There's some people that we want to be able to extend some of our services to. And so we want you to be able to know what's going on behind the scenes. There are times that you will see elevation moments and you will automatically know that it's not live, because I will tell you one thing, it just gets into my core is when I see some shows that they're not really live, but they're recorded live. And so I'm one of those people that I always try to emphasize that, so you'll know what you're looking at. So there may be some times, because I'm gonna be doing a little bit traveling hopefully here in the next few months. We're going to be doing some things that we're going to be actually programming some of the elevation moments segments, so you'll be able to know that. One of the other things that, we came back last Sunday with Uncensored Conversation with Elevated Not Tolerated. That is my baby, y'all. You know that I love that more than anything. I love this one too, but Uncensored Conversation, we started our 4th season this past Sunday, and we got some great folks coming on throughout the year. We're going to bring some people back, like Miss Carrie will be coming back. We'll be bringing back Donnie Got the Beats will be coming back next month. We got Lisa Washington coming back next month. Oh, excuse me, in a few weeks. We got people that we're going to be bringing back. Dr. Gio, we're going to be bringing her back. Dr. Tanoa, we got some people we're bringing back, y'all. But when you get ready to, when you talk about Uncensored Conversation, we also have some new segments that we're going to be doing with Uncensored Conversation, and we're going to actually start that this month, so you'll be able to see that at the end of the month. 4th Sundays are going to be kind of fun, y'all, just to give you a little heads up. And then I also want to tell you about, we're bringing Sassy Saturday back. We did Sassy Saturday a couple of years ago, and you're probably saying, well, why are you bringing back stuff? Well, when you go through the process of it, evaluating what worked and what didn't work, and we're going to get more into that too. You have to go back and have to look at some things on a different perspective, right? You have to see what worked and what didn't. And so there's some programs that we did that worked perfectly for who we were trying to reach and the people that we're trying to reach now. And so Sassy Saturday was one of those events. We actually would push Sassy Saturday as one of our components of how we give back to entrepreneurs that are doing something different or bringing out new products. And we also had a spotlight that we did for Sassy Saturday, where we talked to individuals that had some other things that we wanted to share. I'm a big supporter of other people. I believe in sticking to my word as much as I possibly can within the lines of capabilities, accessibility, if you will. But when you give a person when I get a task, I deal with that task and I do what I got to do with the task. But then when God starts developing and starts bringing things back to your memory, you start operating in those things, in those avenues, in those areas. And so that's one of the reasons why we're bringing back Sassy Saturday. You won't see it every Saturday, but you will see it on special Saturday events, and we'll tell you more about that as that comes into play. Matter of fact, we were talking to some individuals yesterday, and one of the things that they were like, really, you're gonna bring it back? And I was like, yeah, I'm bringing it back. God had already started drilling it in my head to expand some of the things that we do here with Victoria Elevates, and we're going to start expanding that even more. You're going to start seeing some more posting come out about classes, but we've got some master classes that are coming out, so you'll have opportunity to see those too. So get ready. We got some events coming up. We got an event coming up February the 17th that we're going to be doing right here in High Point, North Carolina. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be something that's going to be kind of unique. So we want you to be able to be a part of that for those of you that can travel to the area. Starting in February, unless things change, we're going to go back to doing on-site workshops. We're going to be doing on-site workshops at least once a month here in Greensboro. And so we want you to be a part of that. So let me get to the topic for today. I'm sure some of you have saw it. I put out there, about trust, and even when, let's trust. And I want to kind of tap on that, because I'm finding that people have already started off the new year having, some issues. And, it's time when you start saying things in the beginning is when you need to start tapping into it, and you need to start working towards getting some things in order. One of the things I can tell you at Victoria Elevates is that we, with our coaching and motivational services, we are here to help you develop those plans, those plan of actions that can get you to that next level. See, some of us do not have a plan in mind, and that's the reason why we get stuck. Right. So I want to talk to you about not getting stuck in the season already, because we're at the beginning. Can I tell you, we all have issues. Even yours truly has issues, but we can't allow the issues to stop us. I was talking to a friend of mine, in between meetings this morning, and one of the things that you can be transparent with some people, but you can't be transparent with everybody. Let me just put it out there. I'm keeping it real. One thing in 2024, I'm gonna keep it real. I was already transparent in 23, but 24, y'all better get ready, because I'm getting ready to get transparent. I'm getting ready to call some things out that we need to be more aware of in this season, because it's important. One of the things that when we're talking about trust is that, we have to be able to understand how valuable building a positive, trusting relationship is. My positive self-building students can tell you that we're learning the techniques there. We're talking about those specific things that can cause us to have issues with trusting or developing a real positive relationship. One of the things that we're doing the positive self-building class is that we're pushing even more for you to understand what building a positive relationship looks like. Right. And sometimes if you don't know what it looks like, then you won't be able to activate it effectively. Right. Even these last couple of weeks that we haven't been visible as much, is that we've been kind of processing some things, and we've been kind of doing some things, and we've been trying to get past some migraine headaches. Can I be honest? Migraine headaches have kicked in. But one of those things is being able to trust your own instincts with some things, right? And so one of the things that we're going to continue to push in 24, of course, is the positive self-building class. But with everything that we talk about, we want to include trusting the right sources for different things. Many of you know that we talk very much about the 3S process, being in silence for a strategic plan for God to show up. It is important in 2024 moving forward that you grasp that concept of being silent and speaking only when you need to speak, talking to only those that you have that that there's a strategic plan set in place for, and being able to show up. So the 3S, just in case y'all forgetting, I'm going to drill it in your head until we get it. The 3S theory is silence for developing strategic plans, for us to show up. And when I say us, that's you, and that's God and us, that we're going to be showing up in this season. But in order to do that, you got to learn how to trust some things. So we want to talk about that today, and some things that I think a lot of times we don't talk about is exactly what the people need, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the thing the concept for today is rooting for growth, right? When we talk about rooting, we talk about planting, right? And we're planning, and we're completing a process of a journey of trust and development, right? Because it's a journey. It's a process that you have to go through in order to understand that where you are right now. Right. And so we're going to be talking about today some steps for you to understand that journey of trust and development. You have to understand how that really looks like. And so, in the last few weeks, we have been dealing with it from a different aspect, because I went through reevaluating my own inner thoughts and confronting the roots of trust issues. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You actually have to go to the tap root. How many of you that have been watching my show or you've been in my classes know that that's one thing that I am big on in personal development, is understanding the root, understanding why you feel the way that you feel and why it came from the place that it came from, right? And sometimes we don't want to talk about the root, because the root sometimes brings up issues that we don't want to talk about. Sometimes the root is something that is damaged to us in a sense, and so it makes it hard for us to talk about it. But when you're actually thinking about developed the root of issues, that gives you also the concept of understanding how to develop it, how to understand it, how to manipulate it in a positive way. Because let me tell you again, certain words that we use actually is not a negative, but a positive. When we're talking about positive building, when we're talking about Victoria Elevates, our goal is to encourage you to be positive and to move effectively in a positive manner. Sometimes we get tired, we get bogged down in the past things, and we don't see the proper things that we need to see. So when we use a phrase like manipulation, we're talking about positive manipulation, because when you go to the tap root and find out what that word means, it means how to maneuver some pieces and put things together, right? So when we're talking about manipulation, we're talking about putting pieces together in a very effective way to build, that builds us and not tears us down, right? Because one of the things that we do here at Victoria Elevates is we talk about the individual and how we relate to other people, not other people relating to us. Because if we know our own self, we can build our own journey along the way, then we're more in tune to doing the right thing first. Sometimes we don't want to hear that. Sometimes we don't want to deal with that. But can I be honest with you that when you are able to really tap into who you are yourself and develop an understanding of how you have to do certain things, then everything else kind of flows a little bit differently. But in this whole process of understanding the root, I had to go back and kind of look at some things, right? Because I had to feel like that I knew what the impact was on me personally and what that impact was on me professionally. Hello, my good friend, Coach K Clark, that girl right there. That's my ride to die. Thank you so much, my good friend, for being with me on this afternoon. When I tell you that when I started looking at this process, because I am a certified master life coach, but I also have niches in transformation, elevation. Look, I was redoing things on my wall, and I said, you know what? I don't even have room space for the 25 niches that I am certified in. But one of the things is transformation. When you're dealing with personal development, that is a part of transforming some things into a different area, right? And so when I started thinking about this, I said, I really need to go back there. Hey, Miss Karen, how are you doing, my good friend? I think we need to tell Tina it's time for us to have a party for all of us ladies, and we're in that book collaboration. I'm sorry, y'all. I just love to see people pop in that I haven't talked to in a while. Thank you, Miss Karen, for your support, and you know what I'm talking about, girlfriend. Thank you so much. When I tell you, though, we need to really take a dive into looking at some things. When we're talking about building that trust and what that trust looks like for us in both our personal and personal development, we have to kind of go through some steps. See, I'm learning as much as I teach the step process. Sometimes we get out of sync because we don't see things happening in the way that we need to see it happening in. But when I tell you that this is the opportunity of a lifetime for us to start rebuilding our own self. The reason why the positive self-building class works, and ask my students, because my students and the reviews that they give tells me that the processes do work. One of the things, when you take things by a step method, you can see yourself developing through the process, right? So as we're talking about building, the rooting for growth, we're going to plant some seeds that's going to help us grow. My good friend, Coach Clay, her business is called A Journey Life Coach with Coach K. And so Kay, I'm going to borrow that journey part a little bit. So it's a journey of trust. It's a pattern that we go through, and that pattern keeps us intact with some things, but we also have to process it on a different level, right? One of the things that that I'm learning, not only for you, but for me as well, is that when you do some, and this is number one, we're going to give you about 4 points today. But the one thing that I have come to realization is that self-reflection piece is most important. That self-reflection piece is most important. Taking a few moments to just to introspectively look and understand the origin of your trust issues. Why did those issues come? How was they formed? How was they developed? Did it come from something in your past? Was it because of something happened in your past? So looking at the origin of how that trust issue came about is the first crucial step. Identifying patterns of, in the patterns that are past experiences, moments that shaped your whole perception. Sometimes when we're talking about the past, and some people get so upset when I say this, but it's the truth. Sometimes your past, let me define how you utilize the past. Your past is not referring to people necessarily. A few days ago, I reposted something that a good friend of mine had posted about, it's time to, trust people in your future and not in your past. And what that really is talking about was not necessarily people in the sense that, oh, I'm going to cut off everybody that I know and I'm going to move to new people. That's not what that means. It means the things that are negative, the things that people can continue to remember about your past that was negative. I don't know about you, but anybody that's sitting right now watching this, your past was 30 seconds ago. Right? So anything that you happen 30 seconds and back is your past. However, sometimes those same issues will come and reinvent themselves in a different way. But that's when we as individuals need to look at it from a different perspective and start moving it in a different arena, right? So when you're talking about self-reflection, you're actually talking about looking at the things in depth. Let's look at what really causes the trust issue. I know what you're going to say. Some of us are going to say, well, the Bible says that put that trust on no man. I get that. We're going to actually do a whole series on a different platform about that very scripture, because it's a necessity that you understand what the components of that was during the time that was written. So we're gonna go through that on another platform. But what I'm telling you is that when you do these self-reflections will open up doors of opportunity for you to see the steps that you've taken and the places that you have missed, right? Self-reflection doesn't mean that you're going to beat yourself up and say that you didn't do anything. That's totally not the issue. Self-reflection gives you an opportunity to see those things that need to be corrected and why. And it also gives you a point of a direction of where some things started, right? When you take a moment to look at those past experiences, you can actually see what caused us to feel the certain ways that we do. The reason why I don't like, let me see, cauliflower. Thank you, God. I needed that. Cauliflower. The reason why I check and ask things about what's in a salad when I order it, or when I'm eating something at a specific place, is because of the interaction that I've had with cauliflower. I ate it and came to find out I'm totally allergic to it. I know that sounds crazy, but have you ever just thought that you didn't like something because you've never tried it? Or is it because you tried it and you had an experience, right? So for me, that self-reflection of saying, no, I won't eat cauliflower because it gives me a reaction that can be detrimental to my health, literally. Right? If you're a severe allergy sufferer, you know that when you're allergic to something, it can cause you some grave danger if you are consuming it incorrectly. Now, on the flip-flop side of that, I love kiwi, but I am allergic to kiwi, right? But I know I have learned the experience with it, where I know what the perception of it is and how much I can obtain with it. The two different animals is cauliflower gives me an immediate reaction, where honeydew gives me a simple reaction. Do I challenge the bridges? You can ask my friends, Coach K, and different people that I've been in some situations where I tested the water a little bit with the kiwi because I love the texture. I love the taste. But would I do the same thing if I know? Right? So when you start developing a pattern of understanding, that self-reflection gives you that. It's time to go back to the wheel and look at some things. I don't know about you, but I keep saying to the master, keep me on your potter's wheel, because I still need to develop, right? The other thing that is important for us to understand is about open communication. Open communication is key. When we're talking about certain things, I teach in my class the proper language that you have with somebody will cause some things to happen. Having a good relationship with individual is based on the communication that you have with them. There's sometimes that you have communication barriers. There's sometimes you have communication how do I say this nicely without offending anybody? Miss Carrie, I feel like singing, turn off the lights. Sometimes you got to turn the lights off on some communications, because it's not going to do you any good. And what I mean by that is some things you got to just got to shut it down. It's time to shut down some of the communications that we have with certain people, places, and things that do not understand what we're saying. Because when I tell you about open communication and trust, sometimes what has happened is this: you have grown up and you've gotten older and you've gotten to be more in tune to certain things. But in that same aspect of that, what happens is this: when you have open communication, I can talk to you one way, but I may not be able to talk to my neighbor the same way, right? In my positive self-building class, and my students can tell you, we talk about communication because it's most important. How you are able to communicate with a person will start the process, right? Even with, and I got to apologize to some folks today, because, when I'm not feeling good, I'm not at my 100% best. Sometimes I will just not communicate and shut down. But if you don't know that's what I'm doing, then you may think, well, she's trying to be funny. Well, let me tell you, sometimes if you know me really well, if you don't know me by now, Carrie, I feel like singing, you will never, never, never know me. Ooh. Okay. I'm sorry. I just went back all the way back. Y'all don't know nothing about the stylistics and the what was it? The Shy Lights, the old Earth, Wind and Fire. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. But anywho, if you don't know me by now, there's certain things that I will say and do, but I can't say and do that with everybody, right? There's some things I just can't. Miss Carrie loves it when I sing. So, because she, you know why? Because she is all about music. That's her business, right? But anyway, the reason why we have to make sure we have open communication is because that honest communication with yourself and others are key. Right? When I say that I can share some things with Miss Carrie, I can share some things with Miss Carrie that I can't share with you, because she and I have an open communication. There's things that I can express my thoughts with her and some other people here that I may not be able to do that with everybody. It's nothing about being shady, because I think a lot of times people think, when you're not telling me what you didn't tell me, you didn't share with me. Some things you don't need to share with everybody. But when you develop a communication boundaries with the individual in the beginning, then they'll understand it. One of the things that I taught in my class we were talking about this past Saturday in my class is when do you, or in the several classes, but when do you actually begin that process? When do you actually say, this is who I am and this is how we're going to communicate? Can I be honest with you? Start that joker at the beginning. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Let's participate. Don't hesitate. Let's pretend. Let's see. Oh, I'm just a bill. I don't know why that came to my mind. I'm only a bill. So look, check this out. In the beginning, when you meet somebody, first, we've all said this, first impressions are important, right? Well, the first communication you have with somebody is important too, right? The first communication that you have, write that down, because somebody needs to remember that. The first time you talking to someone and how you interact with that person in the beginning is going to determine what your relationship is going to be with them later. That doesn't apply to everyone, but about 80% of the time, the first impression that you have with somebody is going to roll over to how you interact with that person, right? The first time I met Kay knew I was a little quiet, but yet and still she knew that there was something in me because I came out with some stuff, right? You would have had to be in that place. right? But at the same token, when I met I'm picking at my girlfriends. When I met Miss Carrie, I was lively, full of energy, and bouncing off walls, and know, I still bounce off the walls. So now I can still be that person. I can be that lively person. But when I was on a Zoom call today, when I was on a Zoom call meeting that I tried my best to get out of, not because it was bad. It's just I didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling good. But anywho, one of the things that I knew was I had to show up in a certain way, because in order to move to that next level, my open communication with the person was I would be more than happy to join in on a conversation with other people. Well, I had to show up in the way that I have directed. The communication and how I said I would present myself is exactly how I presented myself. So there's no gray areas, right? So meeting with that individual, I said to them, prior to the meeting, I said, this is the thing. Any directives that you give from this moment on needs to be in email form only. And the individual said, well, why is that? Me and you can talk. I can pick up the phone and call you. No, because when we're dealing with business, okay, this is business 101 for some of y'all. And I have to carry my guys and come on the show and talk more about this. But when you are talking with, when you're dealing with business entities, when you're dealing with business situation, I don't care if it's from a pulpit to the corner store, because some of y'all jokers need to realize that church is church business. That's what it is. It's the business of God. So it's church business. So from the pulpit to the corner store, let's everybody do this. From the pulpit to the corner store, there's certain documents and there's certain things that you need to do, but you need to put it in a written form, because it's a form of documenting different things that happen. The reason why you have business meetings, those of you that have met with me and those of you that will be clients that are coming, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to be my client. When you come to me, I record our meetings as well as giving you a written document about it. Why is that? Because we as individuals, when we're talking business, need something tangible in our hands. Can I be honest with you? There's some personal conversation that you need to have documented. We're talking about trust. There's sometimes you need to be able to build that. And sometimes the way you need to build it is having the documentation. I have a past friend of mine back in Virginia, and I talk about this all the time. I don't know why they don't get it, but I talk about this. I talk about this all the time. This is a friend of mine. There never needs to be anything written. Right? You can't. This person and I, we've been friends for years, but no, don't email me, don't text me, don't comment, because our relationship goes beyond what you see that is written or what you see on a screen. So when I say to this person, I say, you know what, don't text me, because your communication skills is very condescending when you're talking to me, right? And the reason why that is because sometimes you know people too well. And when you start feel like you know people too well, you think you know everything that they're thinking. Can I be real with you? You don't. Hello, how you doing? Let's trust better, right? So open communication, communicating with the other person, letting them know how they can talk to you and how you're going to talk to them is most important. When I have a business meeting with Kay or Miss Carrie or even Miss Deborah, when I have a business meeting with them, I handle that a little bit different from the way that I handle when we're just having a girls call. Some of you need to learn that how you interact with other people with your communication skills is important. My good friend Lisa Washington, is a communication expert. And one of these days I'm going to bring her back on the show so she can talk about her phenomenal book. That book is The Power of Shut Up. And many of you know, I've been on her symposium with that. We actually had a whole group of us. We talk about it openly because it's important to understand what communication does in a relationship, right? So the other thing I want to talk about, because I'm going to get through this, I got myself on a time frame. Do y'all believe that? For 2024. The next thing is embracing your vulnerability. And you say, well, what does that mean, Coach? How doesn't, you just told me to be careful. Well, when you're talking about communication, sometimes once you have developed that dialogue, if you will, once you have learned what each other's skill is in talking to each other, then you can kind of embrace the vulnerability. And what I mean by that is you can, once you start developing a relationship with somebody, how you talk and how you communicate with each other gets to be a little bit stronger. There's things that now I can say, or I can be allow myself to be open with, because I'm always authentic, right? Sometimes people have talked to me and I'm not in my best frame of mind, and I can be really rough rough with my wordage. It's because I am open enough, but I'm authentic enough that I know that I'm embracing my own strength, right? I'm getting where I need to be for me. And sometimes when you are in a relationship of any kind and you've gotten to that level that you can rise the bar a little bit, then you can allow yourself to be a little bit open. Right. Sometimes I've let myself be open with people, places, and things. I thought we were at a certain level and I thought I could open myself up. But sometimes you got to be careful with that as well. Be consistent in who you are, but also always verbalize communication. Always communicate. Look, I'm on this level with you now. Does that mean that your levels of conversation can change? Yes, it does. You can change. You can allow the person that you're communicating with know that, hey, we're at a different level now. We're not at kindergarten level. We're at the next level, right? And we can talk on a different level. So I can let you in on a little bit of secrets here and there. Like there's some people that I would never tell that I wasn't feeling good, but there's other people that I don't mind sharing it with. Right. And that's because when you get to a certain place, when you get to a certain mindset, you are able to express yourself clear. You're able to show people that you can actually talk about some things and not feel bad about it. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people out here that need to understand that sometimes you just need to be a little bit more vulnerable with how you're talking and what you need to be saying to other people. When you're expressing that and embracing that vulnerability, you're able to pursue different conversations with people, right? One of the portion of Elevated Not Tolerated, Victoria Elevates, is that it's time to be empowered. So if I'm empowered, it's because I've allowed you to be in my place. I've allowed you to be in my space. Vulnerability for me is that I've allowed you to come from the atmosphere into my space. I teach this in my class. It's a signature piece that I teach. This is your space. Anything that's in between here that can get this close to me, then that's where I can show some vulnerability. If you're still on the outskirts, if you're still in the atmospheric part of my life, then there's some things that I can't just let you into, right? And so some of you need to learn what that space actually looks like and how you need to be able to deal with it. Oh, my brother's in the house, Donnie B. Donnie's in the house. Donnie's in the house. Okay, Donnie, you know I get excited when I see you when you pop up, my friend. But sometimes we got to understand that when you see Donnie's in that space, y'all. Donnie's in that. He's not on the outskirts. He's not on the atmosphere. He's in the space zone. So I can say things to Donnie that I wouldn't say to some of you, because I have that vulnerability with him, right? I've opened myself up for that, because when I call you a sister or a brother, baby, you better know. You better know. You better know. When you, Elder Carter, you better know. They ain't everybody in my personal space. You know it. But see, that's the thing. When you have that flexibility, when you are able to express that and you can show people that, that's when it's an opportunity for you to see some things greater. That's the reason why we don't do certain things. That's the reason why we allow ourselves to experience different types of, information in order for us to be able to experience, right? Because sometimes, when people know you real well, that's great when they know you real well, because you don't have to explain different things. At some point, you should be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, did you think about such and such? And then you can say, yeah, I thought about that because I know you know me well enough that I don't have to worry about explaining it, right? But there's sometimes clarity is necessary when there is a break in the communication. I want to go back to that piece. Sometimes when there's a break in the communication, there's sometimes you need to get clarity of where you stand. Sometimes we see stuff and we hear stuff and we think it's about us. Can I be honest with you guys? Not everything is about you. Sometimes we read social media and I'm automatically think it's all about whatever, and it's not. It's not about you. It's just moving forward. It's a growth. That's what we're talking about today, a growth, how we are growing to the next level. Doesn't mean that you're going to cut off everybody or leave out everybody in miscarry. Doesn't mean we're gonna cut everybody off. It just means that you've grown to a certain level that some people should know you to the point where you don't have to explain everything. Keep in mind, everything that you see on social media is not about you. Again, that's a vulnerability level. Like I just said, there's some things that I can tell Donnie that I can't tell that you might see on social media. But if you know me well enough, if you know the in-depths of me, then you can pick up the phone and say, well, you're talking about me? Nope, had nothing to do with you. It was a statement that was generalized, right? And that's the other thing. Sometimes when we are looking through social media and we see different things being posted, I like to share stuff that people say because I think certain things that people say reflects a place in somebody else's life, right? And sometimes that can be misconstrued. But if you know someone and you have an open communication and you have that vulnerability, then you'll know that, hey, it's not about you, but it's just the statement. Because sometimes you can say it's raining, right? And that's a statement. That's a broad statement. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's raining in your house or my house. It just means that it's raining, right? Sometimes we put too much emphasis on what we read. And if you know someone well enough, as the vulnerability is there, then you can pick up the phone anytime or text anytime. Like I said, there's some people that I advise, do not text, do not comment, because you don't have that skill. You don't have that ability to say it that way, right? Sometimes, me and Donnie haven't talked to each other in months, and sometimes Donnie would just text me, hey. That means, hey, he was thinking about me and that he didn't forget me, right? Sometimes we just got to understand what that vulnerability looks like. Sometimes we get out of sync. Like right now, I'm in a place where I am. I haven't been on social media a lot. Some of the things that you see on my social media, Donnie, it's Donnie. Hello, Donnie. Donnie, sometimes people see stuff and they don't understand. But I'm not really even on social media like that all the time, Donnie, like I used to be, because I moved on to some other things. You have to get to a place when you get a certain age, your mind should grow a little bit. Stop playing games of the old. Because when you're trusting your abilities and your skills, you understand what it looks like. I have some very in-depth conversations this week. People have picked up the phone that I haven't talked to in weeks, months. Let me rephrase that. Some people I haven't talked to in over almost a year, but they picked up the phone and they call and say, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. I haven't seen you. What are you doing? Are you behind the scenes working? And I had to go through a whole level and saying, I'm at this place where I am doing some things, right? There's some things without saying it. There's some training, some things that I'm learning right now that I needed the break. I needed to have the separation for clarity of the mind, right? And so when we're talking about certain things, you have to understand that in this place that we're moving to now, where we're going, Donnie's song says we're moving on up. We are moving up. We're celebrating. We're getting to a place where we should be able to celebrate each other on a different level. I celebrate everyone on here right now, your growth and your potentials and where you're going. Because as a part of trusting you, as a part of growth, as a part of understanding where God has taken us, sometimes it doesn't mean that I got to have hands on you all the time. Some people you need to lay hands on. Get these 5, get these 10, you know what I'm saying? But at the same token, there's sometimes you just need to reflect. If you know someone well enough, you know that when they're in a growth season, sometimes they will shut down. Okay, so I want to go to the number 4, and then we're going to just kind of chill out a little bit. The number 4 place is forgiveness and release. How many of y'all know that it's hard? It's so hard to say goodbye. Okay, Carrie, Donnie, I need y'all to chime in. To yesterday. It's really hard, y'all, but forgiveness and release is important. Forgiving. I love my people. My people are so cool. Let the Donnie. Let the church say what you say. So, but there's sometimes that we have to deal with that. For Carrie, y'all stop laughing at me. Y'all know I can't sing all the time. Look, this is the thing: forgiveness and release. Forgiveness and release is an issue that most of us do not know how to do. Can I be honest with you? I wish somebody was on here that I've been talking about this forgiveness piece with. See, this is the thing. I can love you and love you at a distance. Yeah, I'm not frozen. I just stopped talking for a minute. I can love you and love you at a distance. I don't have to, because the Bible says we're supposed to love, right? And I can love you, but that don't mean I got to be in your place. I don't mean that doesn't mean I have to have hands on with you all the time. It doesn't even mean I have to talk to you. I have friends that I haven't talked to in years again. And guess what? When they decide to pick up the phone, I expect them to let's pick it up and just have some laughter. Sometimes that laughter turns into silence. And you know why that is? It's because I have learned that effective listening means a whole lot. And effective listening will also show you how to forgive and release some things. Can I be honest with you? Forgiveness is a piece that we all need to learn in 2024, because sometimes whatever happened yesterday, forget it. If it's not okay, all of the positive self-building students and all of my friends, if it's not helping us grow, it's time to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Oh, see Elder Carter. Now, don't you start nothing. Now, see, Elder Carter, some people, it is hard for them to get. It's hard. It's hard for people to release some things. Elder Carter, it's hard for me to forgive some things. I'm telling you, I'm really working on me. I am working on the forgiveness part in 2024. The problem with that is, okay, all right, my choir, look, when sometimes with forgiving, I have to really work on it, right? And then we're talking about trust and growth, right? So sometimes that component of forgiveness is extremely hard for me, especially when you repeat the same offense over and over. Elder Carter, can you help a girl? Look, check this out. I can forgive if I don't see the evidence of you repeating it again. That's transparent. Now, I'm going to tell you that's biblically right. I'm just going to tell you I am a work in progress. I'm a work in progress, y'all. I'm a work in progress. Are y'all honest about it? Are you a work in progress? Because this is the thing. Forgiveness comes with inside first. I can forgive some things that I did in my past because I don't continue to rehearse them. Even if I did it yesterday, it's still my past. Miss Carrie, you in the boat with me. Thank you. I'm so glad somebody's in the boat with me. See, this is the thing. I have learned for myself that if I allow myself to keep on saying, well, I remember when I was making $1,000 and now I'm only making 59 cents. If I continue to work on what I used to and what I had then, that continues to breed more, toxic negativity. If it happened and I had it, and I let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. If I had it and I let it go, check this out. It's not meant for it to be brought up back as a reminder of negativity for the future. But have you ever had an experience where you got past something Elder Carter, stop throwing in the word there. Say Elder Carter says, y'all see how my preaching people are. That's why we look at the hills and where we get our strength from. Elder Carter, you better tell the truth in multiple facets, right? Because this is the thing. A lot of times people do not understand that you have let some things go in the past and you prefer to leave it there. So if you're forgiving yourself, that's the first step. Because even if I apologize to you, even if there's a place where I haven't seen you, because I've heard people say, if I could go back and apologize to every person that I wronged, wow, can I tell you, if I took time, Elder Carter, if I took time to do that, that's why I go to the master. I say, hey, God, look, 20 years ago, I was not nice to you, but look, let me just, and not Elder Carter, because we knew friends, but if I was to apologize to everybody that I hurt 20 years ago, I would never get nothing done. It'd be 20 more years of working on it. I don't know about you. I don't keep a book of all of those things. But what I do know how to do is I can now go to the Father and I can say, "Look, God, forgive me for those things that I didn't know," right? But in the same token, forgiving myself for either overlooking some things. How many of you out there have not, you haven't succeeded in some things because you didn't forgive yourself for missing the boat the first time, right? There's sometimes I forgot. I just didn't do something. And I had to go back and say, you know what, forgive me for have lack of knowledge, lack of wisdom. Because sometimes that's what's the problem. Sometimes we lack the opportunity to get wisdom, right? And so when you learn that you can forgive yourself first, guys. Every one of the things that I am doing now in the first of 24, I'm trying to think of a song, but I can't think of a song. As I'm moving on up to the east side, to the big high apartments in the sky. I'm moving on up. As I'm moving up, right? What I'm learning to do every day is, God, forgive me for anything that I didn't know that I did yesterday that was wrong or wasn't needed. Forgiving yourself in it, making yourself aware that you can forgive yourself or forgiving yourself to remind yourself that you are not perfect. We are not perfect people, y'all. If you're looking for perfect people, let me just tell you where you might find them. And they're under about 6-7 feet in some cases, and there's some of them are in little statues and all kinds, and some are little in urns. But if you are not at that place, you're not perfect. We do make mistakes. This is the thing with that, though, because I've heard somebody on a social platform say that. And let me tell you this. This is the thing. We do all make mistakes. That is true. We we all do make mistakes. See, Daddy, we finally got a piece of the pie. Me and Danny we're gonna do, Danny, I'm gonna do a duet with you. You might not sell it, but I'm going to do it. Okay. But check this out. Sometimes we got to understand that the part of doing something that is not accurate is that you got to be accountable for saying, I'm sorry, right? Most people don't say they're sorry because they're not. Being remorseful and having that in you, that's what forgiveness is. When you know that something inside of you got to be accountable for. Forgiveness is accountability, y'all. I'm just sorry. See, me too, y'all. Forgiveness is accountability. Knowing that you say, okay, I did it, I'm moving on. That's one thing. But when you know that you have done something that needs to be asked for forgiveness for, that's what you need to do. You just can say, well, I did it, I'm forgiven. We all make mistakes. We do all make mistakes. We do all make mistakes. Hey, y'all, we all make mistakes. However, when you know that you made a mistake, there's nothing wrong with saying, please forgive me. And if you don't have the opportunity of physically seeing that person, place, or thing, what you need to do is the big guy, the big J, he got you covered with the forgiveness, right? Because if you can't forgive yourself for not forgiving others is another issue, right? Because sometimes, we can't get to our next level without forgiving other folks, right? I've learned this in the last couple of months that there's some things that sometimes I got to make sure people are clear in their minds and understanding. When I say something, when I do something, I mean what I say, I mean what I do. I'm in a season where when I am moving forward now, I'm taking some things to another level. And like I said earlier, you got to turn the lights off on some things. Sometimes turning off the lights don't even need a candle lit afterwards. Really. Sometimes you just need to let it go. Go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Some things need to be dumped in the river and left. Stop bringing it back up. Trusting a situation means that you don't keep bringing up the past. If I said I broke my nose yesterday, can you let it go unless I bring it up? Sometimes that's irritating. When people are holding on to your past, they're holding on to it better than you are. Nobody is holding on to. If I'm not holding on to it, you don't need to hold on to it. Okay, Elder Carter's in the house. See, that's why I got preachers in the house. Like, I'm glad I got other elders other than myself. Nobody's perfect. You're exactly right, Elder Carter. Only one perfect person in the world. And hey, and I'm sorry, we as individuals need to remember that we work towards perfection. We are not perfected, right? I stay on the potter's wheel. Donnie and some of my other colleagues are in businesses. We're constantly creating and recreating pieces because we know something's not perfect. And sometimes it is perfect. It just needs to be updated. Miss Carrie, I'm with you, girlfriend. I am so tired of people bringing up the past. My past is what it is. It's a teaching tool. As I teach in my class, I know I'm not on fire like everybody else, but this is the thing. I know when I teach in my class, we talk about utilizing the past as a tool, as a stepping stone, right? So the past is not yet meant to continue to hold you hostage and keep you sabotaged in a form of in a mindset, right? That when you figured it out, actually, your past is that place where you can learn from. It's not to be brought up every time something goes wrong. Have you ever experienced something that you almost did the same way and somebody said, well, you did that 10 years ago? I know what I did 10 years ago. I don't need you to remember. I don't need you to bring that up because it's irrelevant at this time. Right? It's time to move on, right? And so when you start forgiving yourself, you're supposed to release it. The problem that most of us experience that causes us the confusion and causes the frustration is that people that knew us are the ones still holding on to your past. Oh, you were perfect last week, but today you're not perfect. Okay, and I'm past that. How about you? I think sometimes because we're holding on to a lot of resentments and it hinders our personal and our professional growth, right? And sometimes if we could release those weights of grudge, sometimes we were intimidated 20 years ago and we're still intimidated today. I don't know about you. There is nobody that I can, well, let me say that and be careful how I say that. There's some people that don't intimidate me. There's some people that I just, you just know, right? But in the same token, does that make them bad? No, it doesn't. We're all created differently for a reason. And that reason is because you are uniquely designed and I am too, right? I don't talk about how you serve God. You don't talk about how I serve God. You don't know when I'm on fire and I don't know when you're on fire. Who's on first, who's on second, who's on third, who's on fourth. But what I can tell you is every person has been uniquely and designed and creatively designed by God to be the best person in the world. It's what we choose to do with the information that He has given us, right? All right, guys, look, I've been talking longer than I thought I have, because I'm sitting here looking and I've been talking longer than I thought I had. Oh, I can't think of what song, Carrie, to sing as I'm going out. But I will tell you this: we will come back on Friday. We will not. Today is Wednesday. We will not be back on tomorrow. We will be back on Friday for another episode of Elevation Moments. We're going to be talking. We're going to start next week. Probably next week, we're going to be talking about what's on the table. We're going to talk about what's on the table, because sometimes we needed to develop some things. This is some key points that we need to be able to generate and push, right? And so sometimes we have to know what's in your area that I can't see, right? And sometimes what's on my plate you don't need to have anyway. Right? Sometimes we're carrying too much things. So, guys, it's been my pleasure to be with you on another episode. It feels good to be back on Elevation Moments. And it is moments. So you might see me pop up at any time, right? But again, if we will be back on Friday. But if you're not here on Friday, join us on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock on Uncensored Conversation with Elevated Not Tolerated, when my guests will be those phenomenal Boltz girls, BOTZ. Those beautiful boat ladies will be with me. One's a lawyer, one's a media specialist, and guess what? They combine those skills together to form a company called a podcast called Miss Biz Nation. So you don't want to miss my good friends. I've been hiding them behind the scenes, Donnie, for a whole year. Donnie, you're probably gonna want them on your show. They're amazing. They're amazing young ladies, but they are full of knowledge, full of wisdom, and they are full of the love for God that they have in their spirit. And that's the reason why they do what they do. And I am honored that I'm associated with these young ladies. So Sunday night, we're going to have a girls' night talk conversation. And you guys can come too, just for the fun of it. But come on and be with us on Sunday night if you can't be with us on Friday for another episode of Uncensored Conversation. We got a lot of things that's getting ready to, and we want you to be a part of it. So don't hesitate, don't delay. Do it today. All right. Again, it's my pleasure always to see and chat with you guys. So until next time, have a wonderful day and always remain elevated and not tolerated. We'll see you real soon. Let me get to this meeting because they keep calling me. Have a great day, guys.